thing you've got to remember is these girls, they don't know that you're a normal person. It's very easy just to walk into the context of a dating app and think, oh, just make some silly joke, you know. What you got to remember is they don't know you, and whatever interaction you make with them, that's going to be the only interaction they have with you. It's going to be the first impression. So realise that the first thing you've got to establish is that you're a normal person. Don't have to show that you're the funniest person in the world, or that you're most intelligent, or you're most clever, or whatever. You know, you don't have to do very much at all. You just have to prove to them that you're a normal person. And how do you do that? Well, by exchanging information about each other, about anything. But I think the best information to exchange with one another is stuff that you're interested in. So this is how I go about. I'm going to go about sending messages. Keep it very simple. You know, I used to really agonise over what I would send girls on a dating app. I'll keep it very simple. Use a very simple formula, and it is a formula. You know, I'm sorry to say. You know, this is sales, basically, what you're doing. You know, there are 5 steps to selling. You know, that's a formula. There's a formula to dating apps as well. You know, it's not cheating. It's because everyone uses it on some level. You know, so the formula is pose a question. Observe something in the dating app, in the person's profile, and ask a question to expand upon that thing. And then proffer up some information regarding yourself that's related, you know, ideally that's related to the question that's asked. So for example, lots of girls on their profile have a picture of them on a balcony, you know, somewhere on holiday, you know. So it could just be a picture of a girl outside with a balcony, and there's a nice view outside of somewhere in Europe, and you could say, oh, looks like, where are you in that photo? Looks like you're in somewhere in Spain. I was there last summer. Say something like that. Or you could say, or someone says, really common one, you know, all you guys will recognise this one. A girl says, you get a Hinge prompt. So the girl says something like, this year I want to travel. Then you can say something like, where do you want to travel to? I went to Albania last year and I really enjoyed it. You know, something like, I mean, you know, you sex it up a bit, make it sound a bit more natural, but that's the rare, that's all you're doing. You know, that's the raw ingredients. Express some curiosity about them and expose something about yourself. And the reason you're exposing something about yourself is because, you know, people say like, oh, ask people questions about themselves, you know. And it's true to a certain degree. The trouble is people aren't very comfortable just explaining things about themselves, giving away information when they don't get anything back. You know, what people really relish, particularly in small talk, is the exchange of information. That's kind of what's going on in small talk, is you're exchanging information about each other as quickly as possible. Now, you know, you get into deeper chats with someone, you know, you're on a date with them, and, you know, yeah, just let them, you know, at that point, yeah, just let them blabber on about them, you know, that's good, that's healthy. But I think the early stage, when you're literally making the first impression with someone, you want to exchange that information, you know, because if you're just requesting information and they're not getting anything back, it's a bit disconcerting, So that's why you offer a question back. Okay, so what's another one you can think of? Okay, so it's another girl's profile that I saw. Very good looking girl. And I sort of flicked through her profile, and this is a good example of why it's good to of how you can sort of tie in different parts of the dating app together. And so I looked through her profile, and I noticed that on Hinge you have like languages that they can speak, and she had that she spoke Russian, and I was like, oh, brilliant, very easy. I like languages. This is a good in for me. And I was just about to go to type in, like, oh, so you speak Russian as well in Russian, as a little funny joke. But then I thought no, and I stopped. And I thought, any old idiot, can just go on Google Translate and just type in, do you speak Russian? It's actually not that impressive. It's a bit goofy. It's not very imaginative. And so I stopped myself. And one thing that I quite liked about her profile was she was very traditional, and she was very direct about being that. She said, she wanted kids. She was thinking about that. She said, she wanted like guys pay for things. What not. She had that very traditional mindset, and I was actually quite attracted to that. And she said, and so I sort of tied it all together quite nicely. So I said, does that mean our kids are going to be bilingual? Very clever. That's all I said. But what I'm doing there is I'm subtly revealing something about myself. So, I'm drawing. There are two things I'm referring to there. First, the fact that she wants kids from a relationship, at some point. And secondly, that she speaks Russian. I'm tying that together. Does that mean our kids are going to be bilingual? But I'm also hinting that I had that mindset as well, that I think having children is an important thing to think about as well. I haven't said that separately, that would be weird to say, but I've done it quite subtly there. Not every text you send has to be quite as beautifully crafted as that. But that's a good example. What are some other basic things that I could just run through that I think work well? Well, they say things like, I like going for walks in the park. That's something you sometimes see. My ideal day is going for a walk in the park, or whatever. You could say that sounds really ideal. What kind of park? Have you ever been to, and just name a park that you've been to that you like? Or they're like, I go crazy for red wine, and then you say, so for example, so they'll say, I go crazy for red wine. You could then say, what kind of wine are you into? I am quite into, and I put Jordan wine. That's revealing something quite interesting about myself. I'm very interested in Eastern Europe. So there we go. I'm asking her to go into detail. and I'm proffering some information myself. I'm actually answering the question I've asked her myself, and so she's now going to feel more comfortable answering that question to me. And you might listen to this and some of it and think, oh, this is a bit autistic, this is a bit, a bit goofy, it's not very smooth, it's not any of these things. But I think the trick with dating apps is not to be smooth. You don't need to be smooth. It goes back to what I said at the start of this, your aim is to just convince them that you're a normal person, that you're a regular guy, and you might think, it's easy, especially as guys, it's easy to take that for granted, but that's not a given for a girl on a dating app, and she's going to get nowhere. You could be the smoothest cat in the world, but if you haven't convinced the girl that you're a normal guy, you're a regular person, you can have a normal conversation about something, you're not going to get anywhere, unless you're prepared to do that. I think a lot of guys, they just really get way too worried about coming across as boring or whatever, that they'll just do something way too unorthodox that no girl's really going to respond to. And really, it's very simple. You just need to show that you're a normal person, and any girl worth her salt will respond well to that kind of dialogue. Now, that being said, you've still got to work your law of averages. So what I think you need to do is message about 80 girls on this dating app. Out of those 80, probably about 20, I don't know, what would it be? Yeah, let's say message 150 girls. You'll match with about 80 of them, let's say. These are just off the top of my head. About 20 of them you'll get into a conversation with, where you're having multiple replies. And about 15 of them you will ask on a date, and we'll talk more about how to do that later. And about 2 to 5 of them you'll go on a date with. That's what I think the numbers are based off sort of sales. So I think you send that initial message, and that's the other thing, guys. All this thing about liking someone's profile, there's no need. The average guy is liking their profile. What the average guy isn't doing is just messaging them outright. Why? Because they're scared. Because they're pussies. They're too scared just to message the girl outright. If they think she's hot, so they like her profile. But if you just get on with it, if you just go ahead with it and just send her a message outright, which you can do on Hinge, it just sets you in front, of all the other guys. It's like if you've ever done door-to-door sales, there's a little in your map where you're knocking on doors. It's quite hard to get to. You've got to I know it's down a little side road, it's a bit inconvenient, whatever. But that's the bit that's never been pitched before, because no one bothers to go down there. So if you do go down there, it's going to be much easier, because no one's bothered. The people who live there aren't so used to seeing salespeople. Same thing here. Just straight off the bat, send them a message. And then out of all those, about 80 you'll get a response from. I would say about 20 you get like a meaningful back-to-back conversation with. And like, guys, we'll talk about this again, but you don't want to drag out the conversation you're having with these people. There's very practical steps you can take just to get the right kind of interchange, to tap the right buttons to show that you're the right kind of person, that you're interesting enough, and then once you do that, you close them. So you ask them out on a date, to use sales lingo, and then you close about 15 of them. So it's quite, there's a bit of a drop off. You'll have good conversations with some girls. Not all of them will, you won't have a conversation long enough with all of them to merit asking them out on a date. But let's say about 15 you do, and about 2 to 5 you'll go on a date with. So they're quite extreme drop-offs all the way. Like 150 spoken to, 80 presented to, 80 matched with, 20 have a conversation, 15 you close, 2 to 5 you go on an actual date with, and that's not excluding like the whole process after that, which is a whole nother thing. And then there's the whole process of actually entering into a committed relationship with someone, if that's what you want to do. But that's the process, guys. That's the process. And more or less, that's how it's going to work. This is helpful. I'll do more things like this in the future. And take care.